Welcome to this week's episode of the Sideline Podcast here at CYA. We're going to talk a little college football this week. The CFP, we're getting close to that being determined. We're winding down the regular season. So let's talk about teams that have a chance to win and who may or may not make the playoffs.
Before we get to that, I need to give a shout out to my Virginia Tech Hokies with a big hire yesterday with James Franklin. How about that? What do you think?
I can't believe, I think it's a decent hire. I just can't believe it. We talked about this morning. He passed up $40 million because he got I know he's going to get paid by Virginia Tech and everything, but his buyout with Penn State was $49 million, and it went down to $9 million. So it's interesting that you walk away from that money. I know we've had this discussion too. I know he was kind of lurking to see if one of those SEC jobs was going to be his, but I
don't know if he was.
I think Virginia Tech might have been a back burner for him.
I don't. You know why? Because he recruits Virginia so well.
He does recruit it well.
He's gotten the top recruit out of Virginia 3 out of the last 6 years. And 1 year in the last, I forget, 5 or 6, he got number 1, 2, and 3. He's coached at JMU before in the past. He has and Maryland. He has in the DMV up here in DC. He has great contacts, and on the 95 corridor, all the way down to the talent-rich Tidewater area as well. I mean, I think he thinks that, and it's a much easier path to the CFP coming from the ACC than is coming from, say, Arkansas. Oh. No offense to the Razorbacks.
Well, without a doubt, he was always Virginia Tech's top choice, I think, because of everything you stated. But I don't think it was his top choice. I mean, coaches want to be in the SEC. I know it's an easier route in the ACC to get to the CFP and things like that. And some of those top teams are kind of spiraling downward. They don't look as great as they were. But if you're a coach, and Mark, maybe you think different. If you're one of the top coaches in college football, I think the SEC is the place to be. I know you're on a shorter leash, and you could just as easily get fired, but that's where everything is.
You just said it. You just said it. Top coach. This is what confuses me, Scotty, from your Hokies perspective. Yeah, he's recruiting great. Tell me what he's accomplished. I know he had a great team, right? He goes up Penn State. They have great teams all along. But it's curious to me that you take a guy like that who has got all the accolades of being a great coach, and then he gets fired, and then he's heavily recruited, and he's the guy that's kind of come and turn your program around. It's a confusing thing to me. I'd put it, if you were running a gas station and your sales are going down, 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 is the competing gas station going to hire you and say, yeah, but he's our guy. We're going to take him because he's going to turn us around? I don't think so.
It's hard to say that about somebody who's averaged 10.5 wins.
10.5 wins, but none of the big wins.
None of the big wins. You know what they said about Ryan Day before last year?
He didn't win the big game.
He didn't win the big game. Now some people think he's the best coach. You need 1 year to become the best coach.
But look at the recruiting. You just said he's done. And what have they done since he got fired? Oh, yeah, they've lost every game. So, I mean, that's his team. That's his recruits. Is it because of him that they've lost?
That could also speak to him that he's not there to coach him. I mean, you can look at it both ways. It's interesting. I think it's a good hire for Tech.
I'm not saying that.
I would think that some of these SEC teams would have hired him. If you look, I mean, specifically Arkansas, they're the ones that really want him online. They talked about that they wanted him, and they didn't get it.
I think that's the only SEC school that wanted him.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you're in the SEC, you're competing for titles. Let's be honest. SEC is the best conference in college.
Oh, no question.
Most of those schools see that he hasn't won a big game. They're not going to get him.
Yeah.
Florida doesn't want James Franklin because they've got big games to win, and he hasn't won big games.
We know who Florida wants.
Yeah.
Well, even then, what has Lane Kiffin won? So if Florida wants Lane Kiffin, has he won big games?
When was Ole Miss relevant before Lane Kiffin?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
I mean, he's won.
I guess you can say that.
Ole Miss on the map.
He's
competed. Ole Miss was nobody. They were the doormat of the SEC.
Well, yeah, but again, until he actually wins this year, look, I don't like for Lane Kiffin. I think if he goes anywhere, he's
in the college
he's
playoff.
crazy.
He makes it to the second week of the college playoff. That's a success in Ole Miss.
Oh, no doubt, but he should stay there. This idea that he's going to go from Ole Miss to Florida?
Ole Miss is going to have to put the money up. Yeah. I think you're going to have to renegotiate his contract and pay him more.
I hope Kiffin doesn't go for the money. I hope that Ole Miss gives him what he needs, keep him there, because in a couple of years that he could be in a position where Ole Miss could be dominant for a long time, especially with the recruiting. If he's going to stay, think of how important that is for his recruiting efforts at Ole Miss. He'll get top recruits in the country. Yeah. So
I think the best thing Virginia Tech did was get it done early.
I think
that's where
the portal window opens in December.
Those other schools are going to struggle if they don't get a coach, right? That transfer portal has been a huge part of college football, and I think they're going to struggle a little bit if they don't have their coach, and they might lose some of their own kids, and they're not going to get some of those big names from the portal. So I think Virginia Tech did the right thing, and getting a signed, sealed, and delivered early. But is it a great hire for Virginia Tech?
We'll wait and see, right?
Yeah, got to wait and see. But I think it gives them an opportunity to compete, get back to competing in the ACC.
Hey, was there any interest in Shane Beamer? I mean, from your insider Tech stories.
I don't think so. I mean, if Franklin fell through, I think he would have been on the list, but that'd have been a tough hire. I don't even know if he'd want to come back. I mean, he probably would, because I don't know if he's going to last at USC, but I don't know. We'll see.
Isn't it funny that when you think of South Carolina, that game, when they're up 30-3 at half, we talked privately, and I thought to myself, it wouldn't surprise me if they fire him on Monday morning, because that is such a tragic loss. When you're up on one of the best teams in the country, if not the best, and you go into their house and you're up by 27 points at half, and you can't score another point second half. I mean, I kind of feel like unfortunately, that's Beamer's. It's kind of on him. So,
yeah,
but
I agree.
That's another story.
Well, that kind of leads us into the CFP and talking about that. There was some shakeups this week. Obviously, Alabama lost. They're still in the hunt to be in the SEC championship game. I know you have some strong feelings about teams having to play in the conference championship. So talk to us a little bit about it.
I mean, I guess strong feelings. I just think it's a very interesting take. As a Virginia Tech fan, Georgia's my 1B team. My son went there. As a lot of people, if you watch this, you know that. I frankly don't want them to play in the SEC championship game. I'd rather than take a break. They still get to bye. They'll be the 3 or the 4 seed if they do so. If they get fortunate enough to beat Charlotte and Georgia Tech on their next 2 games, and they don't make the SEC championship game, I think it's a win for them. Because if they went to the SEC championship, but proved that a few years ago, that game can hinder you. Mm-hmm. It could move them back into having to play 2 extra games, SEC championship, lose that by chance to say Alabama or A&M. Then they fall back to like the 7 or 8 seed, and then they've just had to play 2 extra games. And the chance of injury at the end of the season is going to go up, and you're going to use your players, and it's
Scotty, with one loss right now. If let's assume that they beat Charlotte, which we're pretty confident they will. Georgia Tech could give them problems. Let's just say Georgia Tech wins that game. They're still in the top 12. They're not going to go to the championship game. It's still in their favor.
It's meaningless for the SEC because it's Georgia Tech who's not in the SEC. If A&M or Alabama loses, what happens to Georgia the rest of the season? Their SEC schedule is done.
Yep.
So no matter what happens, they would fall into the SEC championship.
I'm only thinking in terms of the overall, so that they're not going to be top 4 overall.
Well, anybody can be top 4 teams now. You don't have to win a conference to be the top 4 teams. So,
but really, it's top 4 on the rankings at the end.
So right now it is Georgia. It will be Georgia. You're going to have your Ohio State, Indiana, A&M, and Georgia will slide up because they were 5. Mm-hmm. They're just going to slide into that 4th spot.
But if they lose to Tech, do you think they're still 4?
No.
So that's my point. If they lose to Georgia Tech,
they're going to be
9 or something like that.
Let's go back to the playoffs. So at 9, they don't play. Well, they could still play for SEC championship, but let's say they don't. They're still in a good position at 9.
Yeah,
for sure. So they get time off to get healthy, and so I'm kind of with you. The SEC championship, I hope it doesn't detract like it's done in the past. I hope it's just a throw
I think it
out.
Punishes people. A team competes in the SEC championship. We'll say Alabama goes to the SEC championship. They lose that game. Are they not a playoff team because they just lost the conference championship?
I don't really think it should count. I mean, maybe just the littlest bit, maybe a bit of ranking there. Like if you have Alabama, Georgia, or teams that are close to each other, but it shouldn't knock them out like 5, 6.
I think it hurts this year. I'll tell you, if A&M loses to Texas, they're still going to be in the SEC championship, and it'll be Texas, Alabama, right? That assuming Alabama beats Auburn, it'll be A&M, Alabama.
If A&M loses
to Texas, who goes into the SEC?
Georgia.
Do they automatically?
They get a strength of schedule. Is the SEC transfer schedule, and Georgia takes that.
Right. Which hurts your cause. What I was thinking would still be A&M, and because I think if A&M loses to Texas and they lose the SEC championship, they're out because their schedule hasn't been great.
And that won't happen because they won't make unless a lot of other things happen, but Georgia would then pass them up.
Okay.
I think like Ole Miss and Alabama would have to lose, so on. It would have to be A&M versus Georgia then in that case.
Yeah, because I think A&M's a team where if they lost to Texas and lost the SEC championship, I don't think their schedule boasts for them to be one of those teams. I think there's better teams at 2 losses.
Right.
Right? Because your Texas 3 losses, and I think Texas would prove they're better than A&M because they beat them. And how can you not take a team that beat them?
I don't think there's ever been a 3-loss team in the CFP.
I think this will be the first year. I think there's potential for it.
What would have been the situation if A&M had lost to South Carolina like they should have? Where would that have put A&M? Who would have been put up? Because
Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss.
You think
A&M
even
all have one loss?
Yeah, Alabama would be further down with 2 losses.
2 losses now.
But not for the conference decision.
I'm saying in the rankings.
CFP.
Yeah, CFP. Yeah. But I was just talking SEC.
So who's the team that's on the doorstep? Would it, because Georgia's already there?
Ole Miss is right behind them.
I think Ole Miss goes in the top 4.
I think they're in.
No, I'm thinking top 4.
Oh.
So then you'd have the 2 SEC teams. Ole Miss, can they compete for? They can't get in the championship game.
There is a way.
Well,
I thought, but
it's through the
a
back
lot of
door
things have to happen. There is a way.
Yeah, you're relying on a lot of people to do that.
I'm just thinking it's interesting that in that case, you could have Georgia and Ole Miss in the top 4, and neither of which play in the SEC championship.
There's a big game, too, because I think the SEC and the Big Ten are going to have a bunch of teams, right? We know Ohio State and Indiana are in, right? They're going to play for the Big Ten championship. One obviously wins, one loses, but both those teams are in. We got a big game this week that can determine another team coming in, or what. One of them is going to be in, potentially 2 of them, right? USC is going into Oregon to play. Oregon's 1 loss, USC's 2 loss, right? USC wins this game.
Yeah.
Both of those teams technically could compete for spots in the CFP. Speaking of, thoughts on that big game? Because I think it's the biggest game of the week.
I think it's a game day's there. It's a big game. I think it's going to be it's a weak schedule this week, and I'm glad we have this big game. What I think is going to happen in this game is USC's offense is strong. The quarterback play, I can't pronounce his last name. The kid that just
Maeva?
Maeva. They came from Tennessee. There, he's having to go. They got the receiver that's really good at USC as well. But Oregon's pass defense is money. Dan Lanning is a great defensive coach. Coming from my boys in Georgia, he came down there. It's a big spread. What'd you say it was, 10?
10.5.
10.5. Oregon by 2 touchdowns. That's what I say.
You really think Oregon's defending the home territory there?
I do. I think Oregon's going to win this game. I think their crowd's going to be fired up, and I think Lanning will have them ready.
Yeah. I think Lane Kiffin has not
Lincoln Riley.
Lincoln Riley.
Sorry. Thank you for correcting me. Lincoln Riley's got some weapons. I think offensively, it's always talk about Oregon's got guys there on the offensive side. Like you said, they are defensive heavy. We've talked about this on the show a lot. The weapons at USC are pretty good. I mean, Maeva's competing for the Heisman. I think he's got to be in there. He's got 2,800 passing yards. Everybody else that's got above him are playing at San Jose State and things like that. They're not really competing against anybody. 10.5 points at this time of year is a lot of points. And I understand where you're kind of headed that way. I just can't see USC but losing by that much in this game with so much on the line. They've got a chance to get to the CFP. I don't think Lincoln Riley's been there with USC, right? He hasn't made the
I don't think so.
They didn't make it last year at 12. That was the first year.
Yeah.
I mean, they never made it before. So I think it's an opportunity for him to go say he belongs there. So I'm going USC to cover the 10.5. What are your thoughts, Mark?
Totally with you. I know Scotty loves him some Dan Lanning. He's that is like you had said it in one of our shows, and he's like you're in the Hall of Fame of quarterbacks and coaches. I think Oregon's loss was a little strange when they lost. It was Ohio State, right? No, who did they lose?
No, they
to?
lost. They
lost to Indiana.
Yes.
Yes. And I'm not a fan of Indiana. I probably people that are watching are going to write me notes and tell me that I'm dead wrong about Indiana. Maybe I am, but I don't see them. They're going to be undefeated because they're going to win. So they're going to get through undefeated
to the championship game when they play Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're going to lose that championship game. And that's when everything will shake out, when we see what they do against a team that is just better. So aside from that, I told you on another show we had, Lemon he's a heck of a receiver. So I think Maiev is going to find him a lot. I think and their running game, I forgot who that running back is, but he was high on the list as well for USC. Yards gained, touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like you say, that defense is pretty stout, but Indiana figured out how to score some points on them. So
it'll be an interesting watch.
Yeah, I think they're going to cover that. USC. In fact, I'm pulling for them because it's been a long time since we've seen USC in a position to compete for, certainly to get into the CFP.
Yeah.
When was the last time? It's been a long time.
They've never been in the CFP era. They've never made the playoffs, and it's been a hot minute. What, Leinart was the last time they made the championship?
Yeah,
and that was the old BCS model.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a while. Yeah, so be a fun one to watch for sure.
To go back to the CFP real quick, because I know, and we could talk about one of our local schools. There's a group of 6 school that's going to get in.
I was just going to talk about that. JMU?
Do you think it's JMU?
I think they got a legit chance. I think it'd be fun to have a Virginia school in there like that.
Tulane, what are we talking? Tulane, USF, Memphis, Navy. Like, those are the schools that we're kind of talking about, group of 6 that can get in.
How does that work? So one of those, you say
the
definitely
best
gets
ranked,
in? The highest ranked
group of 6 in the CFP ranking gets in. I think it's going to be hard to keep JMU out.
I do. I think Chesley's done a hell of a job down there.
They run the table. They're 10-1. Right. You could say USF played some better teams, and Navy might have played a team or two better, but 10-1, and they look good. And it'd be hard to keep the Dukes out.
They put it to Appalachian State this past weekend.
Oh, they're bad.
Yeah.
And Appalachian State's usually a solid program. They've got some big wins against big schools in their history, but to get beat up like that, that must have been a show at JMU.
Yeah, JMU's has been very good, and they just lose their coaches because they're doing so well.
Yep.
Kurt Signetti going to Indiana, and Chesley's not going to last long there.
He might go one more year, but
I heard that Penn State was looking at Chesley maybe.
Wow,
that challenge.
Probably
that'd be a crazy hire, but
be the cheapest option.
Yeah.
Well, why do they care? They don't care about the cheapest option, do they?
No, but again, they just got off the hook with Franklin. They're not paying. It would have been different if they're paying a guy $50-some million to sit at home looking for a little bit of a cheap
situation.
My thing with that, though, too, we talked about it earlier. I get fed up sometimes with the recycling of these coaches.
Mm-hmm. I'm with you.
And you were kind of going down that line. You get guys that, they haven't won the big game, but we're going to give him a chance because he's going to turn our program around. Why not go to some of the new blood? It's the same in NFL, and it's things like, I'll switch notes to baseball. I thought it was a great hire by the Giants to go get the guy from Tennessee out of college. And I know some people were upset about it, but dude's a winner. He turned a program around at Tennessee. Go find yourself a winner and give a guy an opportunity. Not that James Franklin isn't a good coach, but again, recycling some of these guys, it gets frustrating.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to say this to you early, Mark. Sorry to interrupt you, but winning the big game is hard in college football because the same guys do it over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Start naming the coaches that won the college football championship. They're the same ones. There's not that many. In the last several years, you got Day, you got Harbaugh. He went to the pros. You got Smart with 2. Then you're going back to the Saban era. We most had them all. Once you get beyond that, so winning the big game is kind of a tough thing to say.
Well,
for
it's
these
not
guys.
only the big game, that singular big game, but it's winning when it's important. And that's what
top
Franklin,
25 matchup, and
Franklin lost that game.
4-21 against ranked opponents. I think his record is, or something like that.
And then right after that, he went out and lost again when they played
Northwestern and UCLA.
At that point, that to me says everything about, okay, now you're deflated because you lost when you needed to win. Now you go out and you get beat by Northwestern.
You should have. You were the higher ranked team, and you were That's the other thing. He struggled in games that he was favored.
So when you say whose team was it?
Big game.
I'm not specifically talking about Franklin. I'm talking about college coaches in the recycling that you're talking about. When you mentioned like winning, these guys don't win the big game and they come back.
Yeah, and big game, not the big championship.
I think schools outside of maybe 5 or 6 are looking to have a chance.
Yeah.
They're not looking to win it. Say, name a school that's not in the top. If it's not
Indiana, for example,
like Indiana, they're looking to have a chance, and they're getting that with Cignetti. They found the guy to do that. Granted, he's not super recycled. He came from JMU. He came up the ladder. But a lot of these guys, they win a lot of games, and they give you a chance. And that's the hard part about going to SEC. You win a lot of games, you still might not get a chance.
It's funny that you're saying it's like Cignetti.
Yeah.
Okay, he came from JMU, but he wasn't a recycled guy necessarily, right?
And he's done well.
Look at A&M, Elko. He wasn't recycled.
No,
he's been around.
He was the Duke guy, had success at Duke, built it, got a shot. That's why I would be happy to see the JMU guy get a shot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's like Ogeron talking about coming back. And I think he got a little bit of a raw deal after winning a national championship. They kind of canned him pretty quick. But you had your chance. And you want to come back to LSU because they got a job opening. And, I mean, you were there, you won, and then they got rid of you. Quit begging to come back for a job. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's just guys, get some young blood in there for the opportunity.
And we keep, the guy's name that always comes up in my mind about recycling coaches is Petrino. And it's amazing that all of a sudden he'll turn up somewhere and then he's back at Arkansas. And of all the coaches, the talented coaches in this country, you went to that guy. And not that he's probably a terrific guy, but you had all the options in the world. You're Arkansas. You got a lot of money. You could, I don't know. I don't get it. It's confusing to me.
It's tough, but you know where it really works? It's college basketball.
Yeah, you're right.
You take a guy from somewhere, you put him somewhere else, they tend to do well.
Yeah,
they do. They do well in college basketball.
Well, I guess it's just a football thing. It happens a lot in NFL and college football where guys just get recycled in it. Josh McDaniels, you're a good coordinator. Go be a coordinator somewhere. I think if somebody tries to call him for a head coaching job, be like, that GM should be fired. We've seen that experiment. Stop it.
Yeah, totally. That's interesting. We can talk all day about that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know what? I wanted to bring up something that a little situation that happened to me. We were talking about golf earlier, and
we love golf. We love to talk. About it.
And you know what's interesting to me is that when somebody gets hit on a golf course by a ball, it hurts.
Somebody yells "4."
I mean, it's somebody's yelling at you, and you don't see it coming, and holy crap, I just got hit, and okay. And then you look back, and somebody's probably waving at you like, sorry, I hit it 300 yards. I normally don't do that, sir. You can kind of accept it. I've never been hit before. It's up until last week. I got hit.
Tell us a little bit. So you got hit.
In the toe.
Where'd you get hit? In the toe?
What's interesting is...
So it shouldn't have hurt much.
It depends on how fast the ball was traveling
and
at the time that it hit
was.
Me.
Right?
I think the ball had to be going. We'll just say that there was some intensity with which
so
that
it
ball
wasn't
was
one
hit.
of these ones where it just rolled up and hit your toe, or it had a couple bounces hit your toe. So
not close.
How close was he? How close was the ball when it hit you?
I'm going to say it's within 6 feet. It was as though somebody was releasing a lot of frustration on the green.
I wonder why he was releasing frustration. Did he?
So you're crying, but what club was it that they hit the ball with?
Well, that was the amazing part. It was the flat stick.
The putter. You're crying about somebody hitting the ball. The putter getting hit.
Think about that. When you get hit with the ball in
It
golf,
sounds like somebody's getting awful defensive over here. So let's talk about this little story here a minute.
well, I couldn't see it happen. You had a pretty good view of it.
I don't know if I can get through this without losing control. So we had a nice little friendly match, playing some golf. Scotty seemed to struggle down the stretch. And what was struggling the most was Scotty's putting.
Yeah.
Scotty 4-putted a couple times,
Mhm.
3-putted another handful of times,
Mhm.
on his way to a 50 on the back, right?
Yes.
It was
Bad.
that's the worst golf I've seen you play. But we came to the 17th hole, and Scotty had one of those infamous 4 putts. And he took a swing to send the ball into the woods because he was angry at the ball. Well, he swung and missed and almost hit Mark with the putter. So Mark, being the smart guy that he can be at times, he took a step back, gave himself some room for Scott to relieve some of that frustration again. boy, did Scotty take another hack at this ball, and he hit the ball pretty hard. Unfortunately for Mark, it was at him.
Where'd it hit you?
It hit my toe. My little toe.
Your little toe. All right. Well,
and
all right.
through the shoe, and it sounded like I was shot from the grassy knoll.
Smacked in the head.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my my toe turned up to be pretty
Mark
interesting
said
color.
immediately that his toes were broken.
Yeah. If anybody makes it this far in the conversation, I'd love your opinion on if it's worth crying about getting hit in the pinky toe by a ball hit by a punter.
I will say I cried from laughter and fell to the ground laughing at it. Scotty he did feel upset, and he did hug Mark.
And we cried together. We hugged it out. It was good. And I went home and cried about it. I told my wife I got hit by the ball, and she's just like, whatever.
She laughed at you.
Well, at first I said, have you ever heard me come home and tell you that I got injured playing golf? No. Well, Scott injured me. He hit me with a golf ball. Why'd he do that? I don't know. I wish I knew.
Scotty, I've been there with you, though. The frustration, it sucks.
Yeah.
I've snapped a club.
Can't remember the last time I put a 50 up on a 9. So
it's been a hot minute for you since when I played with you, at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've snapped a club. We talked about it at Bristow Manor out there.
Yeah. Another great day for us that we laughed so hard, Zach, trying to use the Tommy Armor 60
the
degree.
Tommy Armor 60 degree.
And finally, nope, Tommy.
It was only a couple weeks old, Scotty. I just purchased it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right. Yep.
But I'm recovered.
Happen again.
I'll be ready next week.
I'll keep my emotions in check.
Yeah, be ready. Be better next week.
I
We got
will.
a couple matches next week on the holiday week, so make sure you're better with your emotions.
I will. I will.
All right, guys.
All right,
Well,
that'll do
fun.
it for us on the CYI Sideline Podcast. Check us out on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at CYI Sideline Podcast. Thank you.
Yep. Give
See
us a
ya.
follow. Thank you.